Banky special.
Yeah.
Pure deliciousness.
Pure deliciousness, man. My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts. Shout out to everybody out there on Team Banky Pound. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. We on the road to 100K, baby. We rolling. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the likes. You know, we on the road. We ain't gonna stop, man. Ever forward, never backward. We rolling with it. Today, man, as y'all can see, I'm wearing the paraphernalia, you know, DC, you know, Washington, DC. I want to talk a little bit about, you know, how it was in the system to be from DC in the Virginia system, you know, and, you know, that's the title, you know, DC, you know, versus everybody, because that is exactly the way it always seemed. You know, I guess it's just like out here in the real world, you know, when you're a minority, then, you know, it seems like everybody else is against you or everybody else is above you. That's how it was in the system. As far as with DC cats, man, it was like we was always the minority. It seemed like we, you know, we ain't getting no whole lot of love. I can just say you that. It wasn't no whole lot of love. And it was even more crazy for me because even though I'm from DC, I lived in Virginia a lot as well. I got a lot of family in Virginia, but once you go in the system and whatever it is, like I say, always in the system is how you start is gonna be how you finish. Once I went in the system and the first people I ran into that I actually knew in the system was from DC and knew me, and everybody just boom associated me with DC, and that was it. No matter if you lived in Virginia before or not, they just gonna always look at you as a DC cat. And, you know, that's how my whole bit went, which was cool with me, you know. But, you know, along with that came a whole lot of drama, whole lot of hate, and a whole lot of controversy, man. But you know, that's just how it is. That's the lay of the land. You know, you got to take the crickets with the straights. But from the beginning, I think back to, you know, Southampton receiving, you know, what really wasn't there that long. The wall was just so crazy and so, you know, drawn out. I'm thinking in my mind in the wall, I don't even think I ran into but like two DC dudes in the wall, and both of them was older cats. And both of them, you know, had their own, you know, problems going on. You know, one of them, you know, was a good dude, man. He let it get high, but that was his whole focus. You know, when you're in prison and you like to get high, that becomes your whole focus. But he was a good dude. He was a boss on the street, so he had a lot of people that was still looking out for him. A lot of dudes that was on the street that was still getting a lot of money, that was still looking out for him. But he was an older cat, man, and I can remember from the beginning, you know, me and him connecting and chopping it up and talking about, you know, places in the city, this, that, and the third. Now I'm young, green, don't really know nothing about prison, you know, nothing. You know, everybody in here know more than me, you know. So I can remember though when a dude had beat him, man, out of his money when he tried to score. He tried to get some dope, and the dude gave him some dummies, you know, which for dummies is something that's supposed to be dope but wasn't dope. Dude was just trying to make a hustle. He heard dope is on the compound. Dudes would go around and shake out and make some fake stuff that look like dope and try to sell it too because they know dope on the compound, so they'll try to sell it, try to make a come up. Even though they putting themselves in harm's way and danger, they will do that. But they'll pick and choose on who they do. I guess they chose my homeboy because he was older, you know what I'm saying? So they figured that, you know, he ain't gonna be able to do too much, blah, blah, blah. But I remember, man, him coming to me and he looked so just, you know, defeated and upset because he done gave the dude the money and the dude done gave him some dummies and he want to hurt the dude. But, you know, the dude is a younger dude and got a couple of guys around him or whatever. And here I go, you know, putting myself in situations that, you know, this bigger than me, but I'm not known. I'm going on, heart and bravado, So I'm like, what? They did what? Yeah, I said, well, he was like, nah, don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it, young. That's part of the game. But man, they got me, man. That was my last, And I'm like, I'm ready to go to these dudes or whatever. So in my mind, in my testosterone, man, when I see the dude that he talking about, I pull up on him anyway, and I'm like, man, yo, man, you know what I'm saying? You sold my homeboy that foolishness, man. You gotta straighten that. He was like, he looking at me like, man, you little young cat, man. You better get out my face, man. Don't be pulling up on me about nothing I did with somebody else. Did I do something to you? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, and I'm ready to I'm ready to take off on him, but. Like I say, a lot of times during my bit, man, God was guiding me because he probably would have pulled that Bethlehem out, you know what I'm saying, and he ain't no telling what would have happened to me. But I wasn't thinking on that type of level. I'm thinking on this type of level, and I'm thinking on, man to man, motto and motto, but it don't go down like that in prison, man. So, we had a couple of words and some other dudes intervened, and then my homeboy came in and was like, man, don't even worry about that, just squash that woo woo woo. But I remember those type of things like that, man, with me just trying to, I always had that in me, man. Don't try to take advantage of somebody that I'm cool with, or don't try to take advantage of somebody that I'm around that can't fight for themselves, because I'm going to fight for you, And in penitentiary, it's a whole different ball game. Like I tell people, man, prison and from the prison world is so much different from the real world out here. And the real world out here is so much different from prison world. It's just like two different sets of rules that you got to learn, especially because it's crucial to your survival. You have to learn the difference. And at this point in time, I had not, processed that in my mind. So I put myself in a few situations that probably could have, ended up in my demise, unbeknownst to me, because I'm going on some street stuff, and I'm going on how I feel in my heart, and you know what I'm saying, the way I feel like I can get things done. But yeah, it wouldn't have shook out like that. Them dudes in there, they slinging that iron, and they ain't playing. They pushing that Bethlehem straight through your face, your chest, your kidneys and everything. And I wasn't even ready for that at that particular time. I wasn't even ready for that. So thank God that it worked out the way it did. But those were learning experiences for me, man. But, when I ended up leaving the wall and I went to Augusta, and when I got on Augusta, that's when things opened up. That's when the dynamics opened up, and I seen, the separation between D.C. and Virginia. D.C. was a small group, man, a small group in Virginia prison, man. They were small in numbers. I think on Augusta that might have been, I don't know, anywhere from I think like 900 to 1,200 or something, convicts on there. And if you count that amount, it was probably less, maybe 100, 150, cats from DC on the compound. So, the dynamics are clear. But within that 150, they gonna band together, because we already know the count. We know what it is. And man, I didn't even know, even living out here in Virginia, because you never really encounter it when you out on the street. But in prison, it's known that you from DC? Yeah, they got a whole different attitude towards you, a whole different outlook of who you are. And man, it just always seemed like it was some type of animosity one way or another. It's like when you say, man, where you from? You say DC, and it's like, their whole body language change or whatnot. But, I've had a lot of good friends in prison, man. A lot of good friends from different areas. I mean, soldiers, man, that I, still got brotherhood love for to this day. But, man, in the beginning and throughout my bit, man, it was always that underlying, okay, yeah, he from DC. It was always that. And on Augusta, man, like the first block that I was in, I got cool, with a whole lot of DC cats, man. I think, man, that first block I was in, we had a decent amount in there as far as back then the way it went, decent amount of dudes in the block, dudes from the city, maybe like seven or better. I know it had me in the block. I was in there with my homeboy Super D, who I told y'all about. Super D, shout out to Super D, R.I.P. Super D. Dixon was in the block, who became my brother for life. You had Church in the block. Church won't nothing to play with, man. Church, you had Speedy. Speedy definitely was not nothing to play with. Those two dudes right there was like best friends, and both of them was like ultra quiet, man. They didn't even talk a lot. They didn't socialize with nobody but dudes from DC. They was really on that DC type of stuff. And you got those different type of characteristics too. You got dudes from DC who recognize, you know, the hate and recognize the animosity, and they get into their shell, their what we call that lording type of mentality, where like, you know, like F everybody then, everybody else that ain't from DC, I don't want to talk to you, they don't want to socialize with you. Only time they even want to be acknowledge you is when it's time for war. You know, when it's time to sling that Bethlehem, then they all with it. You know, all you got to do is have one dude from DC say he got beef with dudes from here, there, whatever, and they ready. I mean, they ready, and they ain't playing. They slinging the KU up out here. You know, that's Church and Speedy. Man, we had Daryl Mayo in the block. I spoke about Daryl Mayo in some other videos. Crazy is I don't know what, man. He was always the wild card, always the dude that caused all the problems. He had zero filter on his mouth. He gonna say whatever, whenever, to whoever, and he gonna say it loud. You know what I'm saying? So you had Mayo, who caused a whole lot of friction between a whole lot of different people. Richmond, Tidewater. He just a controversial dude. But you know, like I say, DC dudes had to band together because the odds was always against you. So Mayo's in the clique. We got to take the good and the bad, whatever come with him. If he got beat and it's more than one people as a clique trying to get at him, then you got to be with him, because he gonna be with you regardless. So that was a thing, trying to keep him on a muzzle and keep him from causing problems and controversy, which was a 24-hour a day job, you know. So you had Mayo, you had Snyder. You know, Snyder was the one, I spoke about him too, that was locked up for a crime that he didn't commit, eventually ended up getting out, eventually pulled the baddest CO on the whole entire compound. Who else we had in there, man? We had another little young dude in there named Daryl. Yeah, he was a smooth little cat, little young cat. I think he was even younger than me. He was from out Maryland. You know, and in that DC, what they would say in the Feds' car, in the DC car, it was like DC, you know, Maryland would be in the car with us, Alexandria, anything that was Northern Virginia, they was gonna look at you anyway, like, oh, they from DC or they from Northern Virginia. So you was gonna be lumped in the same car, so you might as well had to, you know, roll with the whole clique. But it was new to me, man, you know, because that was one that I was really used to. I'm used to handling beef or dealing with situations on my own, not because of where I'm from or not because of, you know, an area or whatever. It was just because I had a personal problem with you. That's the way I was used to operate. But once I got in the system and I could see that I won't gonna be judged like that, and it won't gonna go down like that. And even when I got in beefs or when I had situations even early on, I used to not even say nothing, but then the dudes used to get mad at me like, man, why you ain't say nothing about that, shorty? You should have said woo woo. Cause I, you know, get to argue with somebody, I pop off, boom, boom, boom. So I'm rumbling, and you know, it ain't gonna last long, one way or another. So it's over, then, you know, then it's the aftermath. He did what? He knocked out who? Oh yeah, and then they coming. So then when they coming, then the odds is greater. And then DC gonna be like, oh yeah, well, we got your back, and things like that. That's how it transpires in prison all the time. So whether you want it or not, it's just the obligation because of the way it's being carried, the dynamics in prison. That's just the way it is. And man, let me tell you, man, they had some, I spoke of this many times, but they had some mean, you know, this was before the gangs and all this. They just had, you know, mean mobs in prison, man. The Richmond mob was vicious. And when I mean vicious, I mean vicious. And the numbers was astronomical. It was like everybody from Richmond. And then the second biggest clique is gonna be Tidewater. And they was just as vicious. You see what I'm saying? So then you had all the little odds and in different places or whatever. But that Tidewater mob and that Richmond mob, I don't care who you was, you got something to deal with, because they gonna have numbers, and they may have a few of them in there that's just straight killers, and you gonna have some of them that just gonna roll with the clique, and then you gonna have some of them that they in between. They go hard, and depending on how hard the situation is. So it was crazy, man. It was a crazy dynamic in there, man. But DC was always the smallest group, so you had to have that heart, and it had to be known. Look, when it's time for war, you better show up or show up, cause if you didn't, they gonna turn on you. They gonna, no, you ain't even claiming DC no more. You got to get up out, and they gonna hurt you. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how it went. And this was my introduction into prison life and where you from. It all started and popped off at Augusta. Yeah, Augusta was the introduction. And it's crazy in retrospect when you look back on these situations, because you had, people beefing with people from where you was from, right? Which to me, like I say, when you look back at it, it's like, how can you beef with somebody where you from? I mean, where it's not from where you at, when you ain't even never known. You never been there, y'all never had beef on the street. So what's the problem? And then it's even more crazy is, then if you from DC, you all together. If you from Richmond, you all together. If you from Norfolk or Tidewater, 7 cities, you all together. But in actuality, these are the people that you had problems with on the street. These are the people that you fought with coming up. These are the people that you was beefing with because they was on this side of the town, you was on that side of the town. But now when you're in prison, y'all all got to band together because it's survival of the fittest. So that's crazy. You have to band with this dude whether you like him or not because of the way the dynamics is in prison. But on the streets, you may not have never even like them. Y'all may have shot at each other. Y'all may have rumbled each other. Y'all may have not liked each other growing up, coming up in school or whatever. But in prison, he's not your enemy. He's your ally, because it's survival of the fittest. So that always puzzled me as well. You beefing with people that you never knew and never had a problem with on the street, but you beefing with them in prison just because of where you from. So it's crazy in there like that when you look at it like that. And then, like I say, you could have people in where you from in your clique that you really don't even rock with, you really don't get along with, you really don't dig their personality, or you really got a problem with the way they carry and the way they act, and you ain't got no choice but to deal with it because, like I say, now, these are your allies, and then you got a lot of different personalities. Like I say, you had, like just with the clique alone that was in our block at the time on Augusta, you had Super D, that was my celly. Super D he was a cool dude, but Super D was he was the I guess you would call the go getter, the money getter, the drug man. He get that sack, so he was no nonsense. You had Snyder. Snyder was the pretty boy playboy. He ended up getting the baddest girl on the compound. You had Dixon, my brother. He was the baller. He had super game. You had Church, he's a straight killer. He done been in Lorden. You had Speedy, he's a killer, he done been in Lorden. You had Mayo, he's the thug, he's the troublemaker, he's the antagonizer. I mean, it's just so many different dynamics. And then you had me, I'm the boxer. So it's just but you have to all coexist. You know what I'm saying? You have to coexist. You have to deal with each other because, like I say, when it comes time for war, the odds is always gonna be stacked against you. So these gonna be your brothers, whether you like them or not, because they gonna have your back. Life or death situations. It's just that simple. And I guess the other places looked at it as well. Because you're not gonna tell me Richmond as big as they was with all them people, they won't beefing and shooting at each other on the street. But you cannot tell in prison because if you had a beef with Richmond, man, especially in my Augusta days, well, all throughout my bit, but Augusta days is just so profound in my mind because that's the beginning. That's where I just was learning. Man, them dudes will stomp you out, man. I'm talking about you get to fight with one of them dudes on the yard and they see a Richmond dude over there fighting, you might end up having about 20, 30 dudes stomping you completely out. You know what I'm saying? Straight up like that. And or tide water. You see what I'm saying? So you had to have some people on standby that was willing to go and willing to sacrifice everything and willing to sling that Bethlehem with no remorse in order to keep that up off of you. And then that had to be known that that's how you coming. Because any faking was not going to be tolerated. Because if you act like you faking or you putting your hands in your pants or acting like you, man, them dudes coming. They coming and they ain't joking. You know what I'm saying? Because it's only going to take one to set it off. If one swing, everybody got to move. If one pull out, everybody got to pull out. So that's just how it's going to go. And it was crazy back in them days, man. It was crazy back in them days, and we had a few incidents on there, man. A lot of incidents with Mayo. Mayo created so many problems, man, that we used to have sit downs and try to talk to him like, man, look, pipe down, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because Mayo just couldn't. He just could not. You know, and he a Southeast dude. He from my he a Southeast dude. He just could not keep his mouth closed. He got to speak on it. He got to joke on it. He got to say something about it. And he can fight. He can fight, you know. He wasn't the greatest, but you gonna have to know something to get out on. And he'll pop off first. He'll laugh and got a little missing teeth in front. He got that little butt nigga there. Yeah. Boom. And take off on you. And then he know he pulling everybody into the fold because it all depends on who he hit and who gonna roll with him. So Mayo was like that, man. He caused a lot of problems, man. A lot of problems, man. And he was just he was vicious on them on the homosexuals, man, and the dudes that mess with him, cause he would just he would say something to them right in their face. He would laugh at them. He would joke on them, and you know, like say you had some dudes that was into that, and the dude that might be messing with the homosexual for whatever reason he wanted to, or that was his preference or whatever, he still might be a problem. He might be they got killers that's into that. They would put that Bethlehem in you. They would rumble with you and all of that. So Mayo didn't care. He just looked at it as if that what you into, then you deserve to be joked on. You deserve to be talked about. So he might walk in the kitchen and see a dude sitting with his peoples, and he might be like, oh, he over there sitting with the boy. You know, he'll do stuff like that out loud just to get a reaction. And the dude might be like, man, your business, man. And Mayo might be like, man, don't nobody want to mind your business. You into that funny stuff. You know, he just would go on and on, and next thing you know man, what you trying to see me? Mayo like, yeah, let's get it. And it's a fight. You know, he went in and out of jail for fighting all the time. And as long as ain't nobody jump in it or whatever, it won't no big beef. But if somebody jump in it, DC mob gonna move as well. So, you know, those are the type of dynamics you was dealing with him. And I can remember one time, man, they had that phone scam going on there. I think I spoke about it before. Whereas to, man, you know, you got brilliant minds in prison, man. Dudes come up with everything. But they came up with something. This was when we was making collect calls. You had to make collect calls. There weren't no prepaid calls and everything was collect calls. And they was charging an arm and a leg, man. I mean, a call might be like $8 or something for like 15 minutes. It was crazy. So, and then we way out here in the mountains. So it was crazy. So somebody came up with some type of way where everybody could make calls for free. And not only could they make them for free, they can continue to make them over and back to back to back. So you'll get dudes that, man, was getting on the phone all day long in every block, man, and just trying to monopolize the phone, stay on the phone all day because they can call for free. And then nobody know how long it was going to last. I can't remember how it got started or what was the dynamic, but I know it was happening because I used it as well, you know what I'm saying? So then you had dudes getting on the phone. So Mayo, Mayo would get on the phone and stay on the phone when all the phones was full and he couldn't get on the phone. He'd try to bully his way on the phone. Mayo would sneak next door and go in other people's block and use the phone, which is automatically a no-no because you got everybody over there fighting for the phone, just like everybody over here fighting for the phone. So who are you to come in somebody else's block and take up a phone spot? But Mayo would get the door open and slide over there and look and see a phone open and run up in another block and get on the phone and try to stay on the phone all day long, man. This dude was wild, man. And I can remember he was over there on somebody's phone And the dude kept trying to get him off the phone. Dude trying to use the phone. And dude like, man, you don't need to sleep over here. And Mayo like, you know, man, you better go ahead on, youngin. You better get on up out of here. You know what I'm saying? And boom, boom, dude. And Mayo dropped the phone and boom, boom, and pop off on him. And then he got this clique coming. They trying to jump Mayo. Mayo rumbling and whatever. He get up out the block, come back over there, tell the dudes, now it's on. You know what I'm saying? There, everybody want to scrap. Everybody getting scrapped. Everybody want to rumble. See us on the yard. Get out on the yard. It's a whole bunch of foolishness. You got dudes out here getting ready to get killed. And Mayo in the dead wrong, but we can tell him that, but we can't say that to him. We still got to back his hand. You know? So he got people out here, you know, ready to catch a case, ready to catch a body, all because you doing foolishness, man. All because you doing foolishness, man. But, you know, that got settled in, man, and let the dudes rumble one-on-one. Mayo Jai like got out on him, too. But it end up getting squashed. Sometimes beef end up getting squashed like that, where they can see there's going to be a big melee and a lot of people going to get hurt. A lot of people going to get locked up. People going to get charges. You know, somebody might lose their life. Dudes might say, man, well, look, man, if the two parties willing to rumble, man, just rumble it out and kill it. You know, but a lot of times dudes don't want to do that because dudes can't fight, you know, so dudes don't want to be on the spotlight to get beat up. So they like, nah, you know, and it turns into something bigger. And the principal people that's involved, you know, get deduct the melee, the smoke one-on-one because one dude is scared and he need his mob. You know what I'm saying? He need the mob, you know, to make sure he don't get hurt the way that he may get hurt in a one-on-one, to make sure he don't get exposed the way he may get exposed in a one-on-one. So it's just crazy prison stuff, man. It's politics in prison. And this is my introduction. You know, you talking about Augusta. I'm in prison, what, 3, 4 years. You know what I'm saying? I'm already knee deep into all of the politics, all of the craziness, all of the, you know, the Bethlehem play, the where you from, to the attitudes. I mean, it's crazy. And not only do you got to deal with that, you got to deal with the police too. You know what I'm saying? You got to deal with how they come in. You know, it's just it's mind-boggling, man. It's mind-boggling looking back on it now. But when you in the midst of all of that, you know, you processing it every day. You processing it as it go, and you begin to adapt it as a lifestyle. This just how it is, man. You know, this is what my life is now. It's just chaos. It's confusion. It's just danger. You know, this is how you got to live. And that's a big pill to swallow, man, coming from the free world. Because all the problems that you have out here in the free world, you can avoid if you choose to. You can get away from it if you choose to. You can remove yourself from the equation if you choose to. You do not have that option in prison. You just do not. This is where you at. The environment is small. This is who you are. You can't go to another city. You can't go. It doesn't matter. Wherever you go in prison, even to another prison, what is going on with you will travel with you. You know, the prison pipeline is better than the internet, man. It's better than the internet. If you get exposed for something on this camp, or you get beat up on this camp, or you hurt somebody on this camp, or you put some work in on this camp, when you go to the next camp, your reputation is already there before you get there. You know, who you are is already there before you get there. How, to this day, I still don't know, but it is. It's more than likely, I guesstimate that it's going to be somebody on that compound that know you getting transferred, who gonna call home. And he got some kin folks that's on the compound that you coming to, and he gonna tell them. And when they call home, they gonna tell them, and then they gonna go out on the yard and they gonna spread it around. So when you get there, you're gonna be known whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. So there's nowhere to run to in prison. There's nowhere to hide, and your reputation will follow you everywhere you go, man. So, you know, that was Augusta, man. That was my introduction into it. Then, like I said on there, you know, me and Dixon met on some getting ready to, you know, squabble type stuff, man. Because he got on that court and he calling everybody up on that court, and I'm on the other team. And then them cats that I'm on the team with, they scared, they don't even say nothing. So I speak up. And, you know, and he speak up like, man, I ain't even talking to you, Shaw. That wasn't meant for you. I'm like, when you said about the team, and we get into that little friction, and, you know, and we in the same block. This is at the beginning. And then he ended up pulling up on me in the block, man, you know, when we get back in and we end up talking or whatever. But man, you know, that dude became my lifelong friend, man. You know, one of the biggest hearts of anybody I ever met, you know what I'm saying? I love him like my real brother. I feel like he my real brother because me and him have been in situations, life or death situations. I've been in situations it was going to be life or death, and he was Johnny on the spot. Don't make no difference if he got to catch a body, if he got to catch a life sentence. If it involved me, he with it. He ain't going to ask him out right or wrong. We going to war. And it was the same for me with him. If you mess with him or if you come at him, boom, that's just how it was. We just carried like brothers, man, back to back. He had my back, I had his back. And all of that started at Augusta, man. And we ended up being together on a whole lot of different other compounds, man. And but Augusta was where it all started at. Just like Boo, man. Shout out to my brother Boo, man. You know, hopefully he get his liberation real soon. I'm gonna bring him to y'all, let y'all meet him too. He was like my brother as well, but he was like older than me. He was just a couple of years, but he was like one of the dudes that I first looked up to, man, because Boo just seemed like he had prison figured out. You know what I'm saying? It's like he knew what was going on. He moved through prison, man, like a fine tooth comb, man, through hair. He knew the dynamics. He knew how to wiggle. He knew how to escape. He knew how to get money. He knew how to put that work in. He knew how to deal with administration. He just knew what was going on. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, I was in the learning process, so I learned from him. But yeah, shout out to Boo too, man. Alfred Lewis, my brother as well. Definitely gonna try to bring him to y'all, man. But you know, moving on down the line though, when I ended up leaving Augusta, now that I got the dynamics under my belt, I know how they current it, I know how I got the current, I know what's going on. And man, it was Augusta to Mecklenburg, man. Y'all know I got in trouble, on my own. Thank God ain't nobody else get involved in that because I ain't want nobody to get it was a serious situation. Big Raymond, and when I get to Mecklenburg, man, Dixon co-defendant is on Mecklenburg. Slim, shout out to Slim, Carl. And it won't too many DC dudes on there, man, because Mecklenburg was, like I said, a select group, and it won't too many dudes on there. But Carl was on there, man, and me and Carl became cool, you know what I'm saying, on the strength of Dixon. And Carl was, hustling within himself, one of the best basketball players on the compound as well, but he got it in. But leaving Mecklenburg and going to Greensville, oh my goodness, man, a whole new world opened up, a whole new type of controversy, a whole new type of crazy, chaotic stuff, and a whole new set of DC cats, different breed.
The Banky special.
Yeah.
Pure deliciousness.
Pure deliciousness, man.
My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts.